Hi, today we're looking at Functional Skills Maths, Entry Level 3. We've got the Pearson Edexcel exam board. We've got past paper set 5, and we're going to start with the non-calculator section. Question 1. Sally buys a car. She pays this for car insurance, £66 each month for 12 months. How much does Sally pay in total for 1 year? Well, what we want is 66 times 12. Okay, now you can either do this as a column with 66 times 12 like this, or you can split it up. You can say 66 times 12 is, well, it's 66 times 10, so it's 10 lots of 66. And then, well, if we want 12 of them, we need another 2 lots of 66. And the reason for doing it like this is because, well, 66 times 10, we just add the 0 on, so we get 660. And for 66 times 2, well, this one's easier to work out. We do 2 times 6, which is 12. 2 carry the 1. We've got 2 times 6, which is 12 again. Add the 1, makes it 13. So we've got 10 66s are 660, and another 2 66s are 132. So if we add these both together, we get 0 plus 2 is 2, 6 plus 3 is 9, 6 plus 1 is 7. So we can write our answer down here, £792. As I say, it's not the only way to answer this question, but I think that's a nice way to do it. Question 2. Sally drives 498 miles in the first month. She drives 233 miles in the second month. Work out the total of 498 and 233. So again, there's different ways of doing this. One way you could do it is say, well, 498 is only 2 away from 500. So you could say, well, if we add 2 to that, we make it 500. But then we need to take 2 off of this. So adding 2 on, but take 2 off here. Well, 3 minus 2, would that make that 231? So if we then add these 2 together, 500 plus 231, we get 0 plus 1 is 1, 0 plus 3 is 3, and 5 plus 2 is 7. Okay. Now, we could also do it 498 plus 233. I'll do it this way as well. I'll put all this is an alternative way. So we'd say 8 plus 3 is 11. 1 carry the 1. 9 plus 3 is 12. Plus the 1 is 13. And 4 plus 2 plus 1 is 7. So both ways give us the same answer. I quite like doing it this way, because then we don't have to do any carrying over when we're adding, but either of them are fine. And then we just need to put our answer down here, 731 miles. Question 3. Sally keeps the car in a garage. The length of the car is 435 centimetres. The length of the garage is 6 metres. How many centimetres longer is the garage than the car? Well, at the moment we've got one measurement in centimetres and one in metres, so we want to get them both in the same units. Well, I know that there are 100 centimetres in 1 metre. So for 6 metres, well, it's just 6 lots, so 6 times 100 would be 600 centimetres. So if we want to know how many centimetres longer is the garage than the car, so it's saying the garage is longer than the car, well, the garage is 600. If we subtract the length of the car, then the difference is going to be our answer. Okay, so we want to do 0, take away 5. Well, we can't take 5 away from 0. But we've got nothing in this digit to pass over. So what we need to do is reduce the 6 to a 5, and we can make this a 10. Then we can reduce the 10 to a 9, and make this as 10. So we're passing 1 across each time. So now we've got 10 minus 5, which is 5, 9 minus 3, which is 6, and 5 minus 4, which is 1. So we get 165 centimetres. Now a different way, if you wanted to, you could start from 435 and add up to get up to 600. And then you wouldn't have to do this borrowing and exchanging up here. So either way, either do the subtraction or count up from 435. Question 4. Sally puts a box on the floor in the garage. She puts more boxes on top of this box. The boxes are on top of each other. Each box has a height of 30 centimetres. The height inside the garage is 200 centimetres. What is the greatest number of boxes Sally can put on top of each other? And what height is left over? So we want to know how many 30s go into 200. So really what we're saying is 200 divided by 30. Okay, well, this one's a bit hard to do because we've got 2-digit numbers we're trying to divide into, but we can cancel the zeros and say, well, we've got 20 divided by 3. So if we do that with the bus stop method, 20 divided by 3, how many times does, well, I say bus stop method, it's not really helping an awful lot doing it like this, but I like to lay it out so we can see what's going on. So we need to use our 3 times table. So we've got 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21 is going to be too many, so it's just going to be 6 times, which gave us 18, and 19, 20, so 6 times, remainder 2. Okay, now we've got to be a bit careful with this remainder. What I'm going to do is say, well, I know it goes in 6 complete times. I'm going to ignore the remainder for now. I'm going to say, well, if we can get 6 of these boxes, how high would these 6 boxes be? In other words, we want 6 times 30, which we could do as a column, but we can just say, well, let's ignore the 0. Let's do 6 times 3. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. And then we put the 0 on. So 6 boxes would be 180 centimetres. Okay, so they've asked us the greatest number of boxes. So this is 6. The height that's left over, well, it's going to be the difference between the total height. So it's going to be the 200 minus the 180 of the boxes. So 0 minus 0 is just 0. 0 minus 8 we can't do because 8 is bigger than 0. So reduce that to a 1. Pass 1 across, so we've now got 10 minus 8, which is 2. 1 minus 1, which is nothing. So we saw that we had a total of 6 boxes and 20 centimetres left over. And this is where we got the 20 centimetres left over. And now we're on to the calculator section. Now let's see if we can fit this all on. Just about. Vikram owns a garage. He has cars for sale with these engine sizes. So 1.4 litres, 1.6 litres, 1.8 litres and 2 litres. The engine sizes follow a pattern. Write down the next number in the pattern. So usually when we've got patterns like this, we're looking at the difference between them. So if we want to know the difference between them, we take the bigger number. I can use my calculator. So we're going to take the 1.6 and subtract the smaller number. We've got a difference of 0.2. So we're adding 0.2 to this to get the 1.6. What's the difference between these two numbers? So again, we take the bigger number, the 1.6, minus the 1.6. Right, so that's adding on 0.2 as well. So hopefully this is going to be adding 0.2 on, and we're going to know what the pattern is. But I want to do it on this one just to double check. So we've got 2 litres minus 1.8 litres, and it is adding on 0.2. So if we want to know the next engine size, we're going to add on 0.2 or 0.2. So 2 plus 0.2, and we're going to get 2.2 litres. And we can write that in here. Question 2. A customer goes to the garage between 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock in the evening. What time does the customer go to the garage? Right, well, between 6 and 7 o'clock in the evening, okay? They've got AM and PM. Well, I know evening is PM, so it can't be either of these AM times. So between 6 and 7 o'clock, well, as a digital time, which is how they've written these here, it's going to need to start with a 6. This one starts with a 5, so that's before 6 o'clock, so it has to be this one here, 6:45 PM. Question 3. The customer wants to buy a car. She looks at cars of different lengths. The car must have a length of less than 4.3 metres to fit in her garage. Which is the longest car that will fit in the garage? So it needs to be less than 4.3, but we want it to be the longest one that's less than 4.3. It's a bit confusing. So first of all, let's see which of these are less than 4.3. Because if anything's 4.3 or more, we can forget about it. Well, this starts with a 3, so that's possible. 4.37, no, well, that's going to be bigger than 4.3, so we can forget about that one. 4.28, well, if we think of the 4.3, we can write this as 4.30 metres. It's the same thing, it just makes it easier when we're comparing the decimals, 30, with the 28. It's easy to see, oh, 4.30 is bigger than 4.28, so it could be this one. 4.02, again, that's less than 4.30. So is 4 metres, but 4.3, they said it needs to be less than 4.3, so it can't be equal to 4.3, so we can cross that one out. So these are our 4 possible car lengths, and we want the biggest one. Okay, because we've ruled out the ones that are too big or too long. Well, this starts with a 3.68. Well, 4.28 is bigger, so it's not that one. These all start with 4 metres, so we can just look at the decimal part. So 28 is bigger than 0.2, and 28 is also bigger than, well, there's nothing here. We can think of that like 4.00. So it has to be 4.28 metres. Question 4. Vikram has these jobs booked in for today. So we've got a job here for someone called Cassie, which is an MOT and starts at 10:30. A job for Ali to do with his tyres, and it starts at 08:45. And a job for Bill, he needs a service, and his is at 13:15. Vikram wants to show this information in a table. Organise the information in a table. Okay, I'm going to do a small table. I'm going to do it here just so that we can see all the information and the table. And we've got 3 bits of information. So we're going to need the name, the job, and the start time. I'm going to use my ruler to make this nice and tidy. So for the first one, we've got Cassie, and the job is an MOT, and it starts at 10:30. Then we've got Ali. It doesn't matter what order you write the names, so long as you keep the details on the same line. So Ali, we've got tyres at 08:45, and we don't need to convert the times, we can leave them as they've given them. And the name, we've got Bill with a service at 13:15. You might arrange it slightly differently. You might want to have the jobs going vertically and the people's names going horizontally, but this is what we're after. So instead of having 3 separate bits of information, we've got them in one nice tidy table. Question 5. Vikram has a chart to show the number of jobs done this month. So we've got MOTs, services and tyres, and the number of jobs going up the sides. Okay, and we can see these are going up in tens. Now, it doesn't always have to go up in tens. It could go up in 20, 30s, 50s. So you need to be careful and make sure you work it out each time. What we do want to know, or what I'm going to guess this is going to be helpful later, is to know what each of these individual sections is worth. And the way we do that is we say, well, what's the difference? Or how do we get from 70 to 80? Well, the difference there is 10. And if you want to check that difference, you can say, well, 80 minus 70 is 10. So we've got a difference of 10, but we've only got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sections. So if we do 10 divided by 5, we get an answer of 2. So each of these boxes is worth 2. Now it's worth doing it because that's not always going to be the same in every exam you do. Certainly, I have seen some where it goes up by a different amount. So always work it out, don't just guess. Okay. Right, show the number of each job in the table. So, our table is down here. So for MOTs, right, MOTs, let's go up to here, and I'm going to draw a line across here. So we'll start at 90 because that's the first or the nearest number we've got that's below that. We know each of these boxes is worth 2, or these lines. So 92, 94, 96. So I can put 96 for MOTs. For service, we're up here. So this is 80, 2 more, it's going to be 82. And for tyres, we're going to have to bring this down a bit. Okay. Okay. Now I could start here and count up in 2s, or I can start at 130 and count down in 2s. In fact, I can use my calculator, so it's going to be 130 minus 2, which is 128. Question 6. Vikram has a pad of receipts with numbers. The first receipt has the number 179 on it. The next receipt has the number 180. The numbers go up by 1 for each receipt. Vikram needs to find receipt 189. He thinks receipt 189 is the 10th receipt in the pad. Is Vikram correct? And show why you think this. Okay, right. So I think the best way to do it is just to write on them. So if the first receipt is 179, so that's the first one. That's the second. That's the third. I'm just going to keep going up. So we're going to have 182, 183, 184, 185, 186, 187, 188 and 189. Okay, and then these are going to go up by 1 each time. So this will be the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, the 7th, the 8th, the 9th, the 10th, and that'll be the 11th. He thinks 189 is the 10th receipt in the pad. Is he correct? No. It is the 11th receipt in the pad. You could do a calculation to work it out, but I think there's not that many numbers, and it's much easier to, well, I find it easy to see by writing out the numbers and the number of the receipt to go with it. Okay. And then we just need to tick no down here. Question 7. Vikram pays £438.88 in total for 8 tyres. Each tyre costs the same amount. How much does Vikram pay for each tyre? Use correct money format. So £438.88 is for 8 of them. If we want one of them, I'll do it down here, we want £438.88. We want to divide that by 8. Again, remember we can use the calculator. 438.88 divided by 8, 54.86. But they do say use correct money format. So we need the pound sign. We want to make sure we've got 2 decimal places, which we have. So we can leave it there. Question 8. A customer wants to buy a tyre with a width of 195 millimetres. She wants to spend between £65 and £70 on the tyre. The table shows the prices of tyres. So 2 bits of information there. Width of 195 and spend between 65 and 70. So we've got make of tyre, we've got A, B, C and D make of tyre, and we've got the width down here. How much does the customer pay for the tyre? Well, she wants a tyre with a width of 195 millimetres. So these ones are no good, because they're 175. And these ones are no good. So it's got to be one of these 4. Well, it's between 65 and 70. So anything less than 65 is no good. Ooh, this is less than £65. This is less than £65. Because the smallest below 65 would be 64.99. So none of those are any good. And it can't be bigger than £70. Or 75 is bigger. 69.95 is the only one left. It's more than 65, but it's less than 70. So that's our answer. And we can write it down here. Now with this one, they're not asking which tyre or which make or anything. They don't want to say C and 195. They want the price. So 69.95. Question 9. Vikram wants to start repairing a car for a customer at 14:15. The customer is late. The clock shows the time in the afternoon when the customer arrives at the garage. How many minutes late is the customer? Right, well, this is using the 24-hour clock. Obviously, when we've got an analogue clock, it's just a 12-hour clock. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this into a 12-hour clock as well. So I'm going to subtract 12 o'clock. Well, 5 minus 0 is still 5. 1 minus 0 is still 1. 4 minus 2 is 2. And 1 minus 1 is nothing. So 2:15. And because it was more than 12, we know that's 2:15 p.m. Okay, well, what time did the customer actually arrive? Well, he arrived, well, the hour hand is after the 3, so this is going to be 3. And how many minutes after 3? Well, it's one section. Remember, each of these sections is worth 5 minutes. So it's 3:05. So we want to know the difference between 2:15 and 3:05. Okay, you could do it using a clock. If you find it useful, you could draw a clock with 2:15 on it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say, well, that's 3:05 p.m. We want to get from 2:15 to 3:05. I'm going to go part way. I'm going to go up to 3 p.m. first of all, because I like to work to o'clocks. Well, how many minutes from 2:15 to 3 p.m? Well, I know that there's 60 minutes in an hour. So if we take off the 15 that they've already used, then we're left with 45 minutes. So it's 45 minutes to go from 2:15 up to 3 p.m. And then we need to get from 3 p.m. to 3:05 p.m. Well, you don't need your calculator, hopefully, to see it's just 5 minutes more. So it's an extra 5 minutes. So the total time from 2:15 to 3:05 is going to be 45 minutes plus 5 minutes, which is 50 minutes. And in fact, we can write that down here. Question 10. The customer drives his car into the garage. The fuel tank in the car has 19 litres of petrol in it. The tank holds 60 litres of petrol when full. The customer thinks that 1/3 of the tank is full. Is the customer correct? Show why you think this. Right, well, let's work out what 1/3 of the tank would be. Well, 1/3 of 60 means, well, 1/3 times 60, or you can think of it as 60 divided by 3. And 60 divided by 3 is 20 litres. So it's got 19 litres in it. Is the customer correct? So is it 1/3 of the tank full? Well, no, because 19 litres is not equal. You can write not equal. I like to do the equal crossed out sign. It's not equal to 20 litres. And then we just want to make sure we tick no down here. Question 11. The diagram shows nuts with different shapes. Right, move it up so we can see them all now. Which nut has 5 lines of symmetry? Okay. So we can do them one at a time. Well, if we start with A, well, we're going to have 1 vertically, 2 horizontally, 3 through here, diagonally through the middle of the line, 4 through here. We can then also go through the dot, through the corners, 5 and 6. So it's not this one, because this has got 6 lines of symmetry. Now I can keep doing this, going through them, but one thing that's useful to know is that with regular shapes, that means that the the length of all the sides are the same. So we could measure, but we can sort of see here that all of these edges are the same length. And in that case, the number of lines of symmetry is the same as the number of sides. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. We know it will have 6 lines of symmetry. This square here, 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's going to have 4 lines of symmetry. This, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines of symmetry. In fact, I'm going to write it in the middle. 6, 4, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this shape is going to have 5 lines of symmetry. If you want, you can draw them on as well. So we're going to have 1 straight down that way. And all of them, remember, line of symmetry, we're splitting the shape in half with like a mirror image on each side. So for every side, it's going to be 1 going through the corner and 1 going through the centre of a side. So we've got, we're going to have 1 going through here, and then 1 going through here. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't count these because these are just the other ends of these lines. Question 12. Vikram uses this bolt for a repair. What is the length of the bolt? Okay, so we're just going to get our ruler and measure it. Okay, so we want to get our 0 here. So not the end of the ruler, that's no good. We've got to start right on 0. And if we do it here, it measures to, what's that? 1, 2. I make that about 6, 1, 2, so 6.2 centimetres. Or you could write it as 62 millimetres. Because they haven't told us what units to write. So long as you've got the number that corresponds with the units, either one would be fine. Now, just to note, especially if you look at the mark scheme, you might find it gives a different answer. That's just because the exam papers, when they're printed out, the size can change slightly. So the mark scheme says 6.4 centimetres or 64 millimetres, but it's just because the way this is printed out is slightly smaller. So don't worry, so long as you're reading off your ruler correctly, then your answer will be correct. Question 13. The diagram shows how Vikram turns the nut. Okay, so it's going around this way. What fraction does Vikram turn the nut? Well, if we start here, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we're turning it 1, 2, 3. So we're turning it 3 out of 6. Which you could also write as a half. But I think it's probably easy to see it as 3/6. Because that's what you're turning it through. Both would be fine. Question 14. A customer asks Vikram for 1 litre of antifreeze. Vikram uses 1 bottle of antifreeze in the car. The bottle contains 454 millilitres of antifreeze. How many millimetres more antifreeze does Vikram need? So he needs 1 litre. And 1 litre, hopefully you know, is 1,000 millilitres. So if he's only got 454, to work out how much extra, we need to do 1,000 minus 454. And that gives us 546 millilitres, which we can write on our line here. Question 15a. So this one. Round 454 to the nearest 10. So let's draw a number line. Let's think in tens. What would the 10 less than this number be? Well, it would be just 450. Remember, if it's a 10, it's going to end in a 0. And the 10 up from this number, or increase the tens by 1, we're going to have 460. So let's think, what would halfway be? Well, if it's tens, half of 10, 10 divided by 2 is 5. So halfway is going to be 455. So where's this number going to fall? 454. Well, it's less than 455, but more than 450. So it's going to fall in this half, which means it would round down to 450. And then they ask us to use the rounded number to check your answer to question 14. Well, in question 14, what we did was we did 1,000 minus 454. And then we worked out the answer. Now, they want us to use the rounded answer, so we're going to use 1,000 minus 450. So 1,000 minus 450, and that gives us 550. In fact, we worked out 546 before, so we can say, yeah, that looks all right. It's close enough. It's supposed to be a check, so it doesn't need to be exact. Question 16. Vikram has this information about the number of staff at the garage. So in 2018 there were 19 staff. 2019 there were 33, and in 2020 there were 41 staff. Draw a line graph to show this information. Well, they've already put the labels on, number of staff, they've even done the scale for us, and they put the label down here for the years. So we just want to put because it's a line graph, we're going to put our little crosses for each value. So for 2018 there were 19 staff. So 2018's here. This is 10. This is 20. So let's see what these boxes, could they just be worth one each? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, that makes sense. Because 10 to 20, that's 10. So if we want 19, well, 19 is going to be just one down from 20. So we can put a cross there. For 2019, we had 33 staff. So we find 2019, follow it up. 10, 20, 30, 31, 32, 33. And for 2020, there were 41 staff. So follow it up. 10, 20, 30, 40, 41. And because it's a line graph, we need to connect our points using a ruler. There we go. And everything else has already been done for us on the chart. Question 17. A customer wants to make screen wash from concentrate and water. The diagram shows the amount of concentrate she puts into a container. Yes, we've got it here, marked there. The customer adds water into the container up to the 1,000 milliliter division. So that's up to there. How much water does the customer add to the nearest division? Well, at the moment it's here, the nearest division to this is that one. And it's halfway between 200 and 300. Well, you might be able to see, well, it's halfway between 200 and 400, which would be 300. If you want to check that, then the way to do it is to say, well, add the 200, because we want halfway, so we add the 200 and the 400 together, and then divide it all by 2. So 200 plus 400, 600 divided by 2 gives us 300, which is what we've got here. So we want to know how much more needs to be added. So we've got to get from 3,000 up to 1,000. So you could count up, or you could say, well, I'm going to need to take the 1,000 that I need in total and subtract the 300 that I've already got, which gives us 700 millilitres, which we can write on here. And finally, we've got question 18. Vikram has this chart. Number of cars sold last year. This is the number of cars sold up here. Note this chart isn't starting at 0, which is fine. They don't have to start from 0, so long as they're going up in equal amounts. And we've got new cars split between petrol and diesel, and used cars split between petrol and diesel. Let's see the question. Vikram thinks he sold 33 more used diesel cars than new diesel cars. Okay, is Vikram correct? Well, on both of them, we're looking at diesel cars, so we don't care about the petrol at all. Okay, so we can forget those. It might be easy to cross them out like I have, so you ignore them, you don't need to see them. So we want to know the difference, basically, between this bar and this bar. So let's find out what the values are. Well, first of all, we want to know what each of these little sections is worth. So again, if we want to know what it is, we say, well, what's the difference between 30 and 40? So we say 40 minus 30 is 10. So there's a gap of 10 there. And how many sections have we got? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we want 10 divided by 5 equals 2. Yeah, so don't assume it's 2, you've got to calculate it because it could be different. So, diesel cars. Here. So, we'll start at 30 and we'll count up. So 32, 34, 36, 38. Actually, I'm going to write 38 on there. Remember, we could have started at 40 and taken 2 off. 40 minus 2 would give us 38 as well. And we're comparing used diesel cars with new diesel. So these were the new diesel. So this is our 38. And the used diesel cars would be over here. So let's pull it down a bit. So 70, so 72, 74. So how many more did he sell? Well, we'll work out the difference. So we'll do the 74 minus the 38. Oh, sorry, 38 to give us 36. Well, he said 33. Well, 36 is not equal to 33, so is Vikram correct? No, he's not. And we can mark that down here. So I hope you liked the video. Please like it, subscribe to the channel, turn your notifications on so you find out when I add more videos, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you.